quinoa today. Quinoa is a grain that's become popular in the recent years because it is a complete protein. So it's a great option for vegetarians or vegans just to add in some protein. It's also become a kind of a substitute for rice. Just another great whole grain option is the way I look at it. So we're gonna go ahead and make some today. This is a tricolor quinoa. There's red and black and white quinoa. White quinoa is usually probably the most kind of mild flavored one, and they're all gonna cook about the same. So this is just what I happen to pick up at the store. We'll go ahead and get started. Take 1 cup of your quinoa, put it in a fine mesh strainer. You want to rinse it under cold water and give it some gentle rubbing. You can also give it more of a power wash if your sink has the capability to do the sprayer too. As long as it's not going to push it through your mesh, you should be fine. It's important that you give it a good rinsing because it has a waxy substance that can make the flavor of the quinoa bitter. And you will see some varieties that you can buy at the store are, we'll say they're triple washed. It's still a good idea to give it a good rinse and scrubbing before you cook it. And you should always rinse your whole grains anyway. The only thing you shouldn't rinse is a fortified white rice because then you just wash away the nutrients. Now that we've finished with rinsing our quinoa, we're going to turn our element onto medium-high heat and add in a teaspoon of olive oil. Once our oil is hot and starts to shimmer, then we will add in our quinoa. Our oil is warm, so we'll start to toast our quinoa. And we'll do this for a couple of minutes or so until the quinoa is dry. Quinoa seems pretty dry, so we will add back in moisture. I have a 1 3/4 cups of chicken stock here. You could also use water or a vegetable stock if you wanted to. And then a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Like usual, you could omit the salt if you're concerned with sodium. Now we'll turn down the heat to low and put our lid on it and let this go for 15 minutes. Now that it's been 15 minutes on the low setting on the burner, we're going to move it off of the heat and not open it. We're going to let it continue to absorb the liquid and then we'll come back and fluff it in 5 minutes. So we'll remove our lid and fluff our quinoa. Quinoa has absorbed all of the liquid, and you can tell when the quinoa is done, especially if it's the white quinoa, because the endosperm starts to separate it, so it kind of gets a little tail. Everything looks good here. So I hope you enjoy your quinoa.